Most travelers have no idea this code even exists. You're at the airport, juggling your bags, checking the departure boards, maybe rushing to grab a coffee before boarding. Everything seems routine until you glance down at your boarding pass and notice two small letters you've never paid attention to before. RR. It's easy to overlook. In fact, most passengers never notice it at all. But if you do spot those two letters, it's natural to pause for a moment and wonder what they mean. Did I do something wrong? Was there a problem with my booking? Am I going to miss my flight? Naturally, if it feels like you're being singled out at the airport, it's bound to make you a little nervous. Some travelers immediately start replaying their steps in their minds. They wonder whether they accidentally packed something they shouldn't have. Others worry there could be an issue with their passport, visa, or travel history. The good news is that in most cases, RR is not a reason to panic. In fact, many travelers who receive an RR designation have done absolutely nothing wrong. So what exactly does RR mean on a boarding pass? Why does it appear for some passengers? And what should you expect if you ever see it on your own ticket? The answer reveals a side of modern air travel that most passengers never see. When most people look at a boarding pass, they focus on the information they need right away. They check the departure time, the gate number, their seat assignment, and maybe the boarding group. Once they've confirmed they're heading to the right destination, they rarely give the rest of the information a second thought. But a boarding pass contains far more than just the details needed to get on an airplane. Behind the scenes, airlines, airports, and security agencies use various codes and systems to manage millions of travelers every day. Some of these codes are intended for airline personnel, others are used for operational purposes. And occasionally, a code appears that catches the attention of curious travelers. One of the most discussed is RR. While the exact meaning can vary depending on the airline, airport, or country involved, RR is commonly associated with a security review, risk review, or some form of additional screening process. In simple terms, it often means that a traveler has been selected for extra verification before departure. And this is where many misconceptions begin. A lot of people assume that if they're selected for additional screening, they must have done something wrong. That's usually not the case. Modern airport security systems are designed to screen enormous numbers of passengers efficiently while maintaining safety. To accomplish that, security agencies use multiple layers of screening, verification, and risk assessment. Part of that process involves selecting certain passengers for additional checks. Sometimes there is a specific reason, sometimes there isn't, and sometimes the selection is simply random. That's the word many travelers overlook: random. Airports and security agencies regularly select a small number of passengers for additional screening as part of standard aviation security procedures. These checks help ensure that security measures remain effective and unpredictable. As a result, completely ordinary travelers can be selected at any time. Business travelers, vacationers, families, students, first-time flyers, frequent flyers. Anyone can be chosen. That means receiving an RR designation does not automatically mean you've been flagged for suspicious activity, placed on a watch list, or accused of doing something wrong. In many situations, it's simply part of the broader security process that keeps air travel operating safely. That said, certain travel patterns can sometimes lead to additional scrutiny. For example, last-minute bookings may attract more attention than flights booked months in advance. One-way international tickets can occasionally result in additional verification. Complex travel itineraries involving multiple countries may receive closer review. Frequent international travel, unusual routing, or travel to certain destinations may also increase the likelihood of additional screening. But even in those situations, additional screening is not an accusation. It is simply another layer of the security process. So what actually happens if RR appears on your boarding pass? The answer depends on the airport, airline, and security procedures in place at the time. For some travelers, the experience may be relatively minor. For others, it may involve a few extra steps before boarding. You might be directed to a separate screening area. A security officer may ask questions about your trip. You could be asked where you're traveling, how long you plan to stay, or the purpose of your visit. Your carry-on luggage may receive a more detailed inspection. Electronic devices such as laptops, tablets, and smartphones may be examined more carefully. You may even be asked to power on electronic devices to confirm they are functioning normally. In some cases, additional screening technologies may be used before you're cleared to proceed to your gate. For travelers who have never experienced these procedures before, it can feel intimidating. After all, most people just want to get through security, find their gate, and board their flight. Any unexpected delay naturally creates a little stress, but it's important to remember that airport personnel conduct these procedures every day. The vast majority of passengers selected for additional screening complete the process without any significant issues. The biggest challenge is usually timing. Imagine arriving at the airport with only a small amount of time before boarding. Everything is going smoothly until you're selected for additional screening. What might have been a quick trip through security suddenly takes longer than expected. This is one reason experienced travelers often recommend arriving at the airport earlier than necessary, especially when flying internationally. Extra time provides a cushion if additional checks are required. If you ever notice RR on your boarding pass before heading to the airport, there are a few practical steps you can take. First, arrive early. Giving yourself extra time can make the entire experience much less stressful. Second, keep all travel documents organized and easy to access. Having your passport, identification, visas, and itinerary readily available can help speed up the process. Third, make sure your electronic devices are charged. If security personnel ask you to power on a device, you'll want to avoid complications caused by a dead battery. Fourth, remain calm and cooperative. Security officers are following established procedures, and cooperation generally helps everything move more smoothly. One interesting fact is that many travelers only encounter an RR designation once. Some report seeing it on a single trip and never again. Others encounter it occasionally over many years of travel. There is no universal pattern. That's part of the reason why the code remains such a mystery for many passengers. Another common misunderstanding is that airline employees can simply remove the designation if you ask. In most cases, they cannot. If additional screening has been assigned, the required procedures generally must be completed before boarding can take place. As international travel continues to grow, aviation security systems continue to evolve as well. Airlines and governments process vast amounts of information every day in an effort to balance security, efficiency, and passenger convenience. Most travelers never see this system at work. They simply arrive at the airport, pass through security, board their flight, and continue on their journey. But every now and then, a small code like RR offers a glimpse into the hidden processes operating behind the scenes. The next time you receive a boarding pass, take a closer look. Beyond your seat number and boarding group, there may be codes that reveal more about modern air travel than you ever realized. And if you happen to notice the letters RR on your next flight, you'll know that while it may lead to additional screening, it is usually just one part of the broader security procedures used every day at airports around the world. What seems like a mysterious code to passengers is often simply another step in the complex system that helps keep air travel moving safely and efficiently for millions of travelers every year.